Well, just when you think you've got everything figured out in the BC Football Conference, you go into Sunday off the two predictable Saturday results, and then bam, the Raiders and the Sun play an absolute epic at the Apple Bowl, a 31-31 tie after the Raiders were really blown out by the Sun a couple of weeks before. An incredible result for them. A fantastic football game comes down to a last-second two-point conversion to get the tie. Anyone who watched that game, I think, will be converted to the junior football brand for the rest of their lives, because that was incredible. Hey guys, Dominic ABASSI here for the BCFC, and it was an unpredictable finish to week number 6. There's no doubt about that. Some great individual performances to highlight from week 6, and some of these guys were recognized in the players of the week, others were not. Shamar Donaldson saying, who needs Rashawn Simon Eyes for the Sun? He scores all 4 Okanagan touchdowns through the air. Great performance from him. And then you look at who they came from. Nick Wenman, Sun quarterback, who wasn't even expected to be their starting quarterback at the beginning of this season. He now leads the league in touchdown passes and continues to do a fantastic job for the Sun there. On the defensive side of the ball in that game, Quinton Bowles for the Raiders continues to be the class of the league from the defensive end position. For the Langley Rams, Khalid Johnson went off in a big way, put up 169 yards and 3 scores. Probably would have been the offensive player of the week if not for what Donaldson did for the Sun. And how about Kane Stevenson for the Rebels? He's one of Charlie Cardelicchia's so-called blue chippers. 103 yards rushing and a touchdown on one play. And he actually outgained the Huskers offense for the entire week on that one touch. Now for week number 7, back to 3 Saturday games this weekend coming up. The first of the week goes in Chilliwack, and you have to feel for the Huskers here. They'll likely get the wrath of the Sun, who are coming off their first reality check of the season. It's a built-in coaching week for Ben McCauley in Okanagan. He just needs to remind his team that maybe they're not as good as they think they are, and they still have a lot of work to do if they want to get to their ultimate goal of reaching the Canadian Bowl this season. I think the Huskers are going to bear the brunt of what will be a hard week of practice for the Okanagan Sun. The Huskers averaging under 200 yards of offense per game, and the Sun defense just gave up the most points they have all season, 3 times their average in the 31 points that the Raiders put on them, so you know that that group is going to come out very motivated as well. I'm not expecting the gas pedal to be let off much on Saturday afternoon. 1 o'clock kickoff at Exhibition Stadium in Chilliwack. Game 2 of the day is a rematch of Week 5 when the Rams went to Kamloops and beat the Broncos 31-19. Now at that point, that was a game that would have put the winner in the final playoff position in the league. And I think my math is correct. If I'm wrong, let me know, but I think I've got this right. A Rams win would clinch a playoff spot for them and would really all but eliminate the Broncos from playoff contention. That should be motivation enough for both teams. You're really playing for a playoff spot in a lot of ways in this Week 7 matchup. Watch for the Rams running back Nathan Lund. He went off, torched the Broncos for nearly 200 yards and 2 touchdowns on a variety of ways, passing and rushing in that previous meeting. Will Kamloops play with the focus and desperation of a team that's playing for their season? We'll find out for sure. Kickoff 5 o'clock at McLeod Athletic Park in Langley. And finally, the game of the week, the Rebels and the Raiders under the lights in West Shore. This has all the makings of another classic. The Rebels are rolling. They're on a 5-game winning streak, and they haven't lost a regular season at home since October of 2015, coming up on 2 full years now. The Raiders, meanwhile, should come into this game with more confidence than any team in the league. They just tied the previously undefeated Okanagan Sun. They proved that they can play with great teams and on the road as well. Doing that in the Apple Bowl, no small task at all. The Rebels beat the Raiders by 2 points in Week 2 in Nanaimo, and it's a game that I think it's fair to say the home team probably should have won. They made a couple of really critical mistakes late in that game that really ended up costing them, but at that point in the season, these teams were very evenly matched. Now, the Rebels have changed their roster, added pieces to it a lot more than the Raiders, so we'll see how that impacts the second meeting here. Bryson Mayo had a big day in that Week 2 game, but I'll be watching the matchup of the surprisingly good and really dynamic Raiders defense against this incredible, prolific Rebels offense that just hung nearly 600 yards on the Kamloops Broncos last weekend. Kickoff for this amazing can't miss rivalry game, 7 o'clock at West Hill Stadium in Langford. You know the routine by now. BCFCTV.com is where you go to watch every single game all season long, streamed live. Also be sure to check out the conference's YouTube channel because some of the old games from the season are now being posted up there, and you can go watch those games completely free and review some of the great plays and action we've already seen in this season. Follow us on social media, Facebook and Twitter, for all the latest. For the BCFC, I'm Dominic ABASSI.